good Monday morning. Different feel in the studio today as opposed to Friday morning, as the Bengals were just so close. We were all behind the Cincinnati Bengals. They had a lead. It looked like they were going to get it done. You had the 20-16 score, which was the opposite of what the last time the Bengals were in the Super Bowl with Boomer's game was. The Bengals were actually leading 20-16, so you're thinking maybe there was something here, maybe something special is going on, but it didn't happen. Big, long drive by the Rams, of course, resulting in that touchdown to Cooper Kupp, and then Aaron Donald knew the game was on the line, knew he was the best player on the field, and made sure that he made the play to clinch the game. And your Los Angeles Rams are Super Bowl 56 champions. Not a great game, little choppy, kind of a bummer. I got to be honest with you. I wanted to see the Bengals win. I know you did. Good morning, Boomer. How are you?
Yeah, good morning, Jay. I'm not, all that happy this morning. I mean, I don't know. You sat there. I was sitting there, and I was thinking to myself, here we go. We have to do something in this fourth quarter that's going to win the game for the team. And unfortunately, after their touchdown and field goal to start the second half, everything else was a punt, and it ended up on downs, obviously, on the last series. But I thought the second to last series, Tyler Boyd had a chance to make a catch. It hit him right in the hands. He dropped it. He's normally sure-handed. I believe that probably would have gotten them a first down and possession of the ball and everything. That was a big drop in this game. But, Aaron Donald was on everybody's radar going into the game, including yours truly. He's just saying, look, man, this guy is so good that eventually he's going to make plays, and those plays are going to be game-wrecking type plays. And that's exactly what happened. If they would have given him the MVP, I could have seen that. But Cooper Kupp certainly deserves it, especially after Odell Beckham goes down. So when you think about the Bengals and their playoff run between the Raiders, the Titans, and the Chiefs, a number of things had happened for them in those games that allowed them to win those games. And a couple of miscues by the Rams in this game, I felt like, man, here we go. It feels like they're going to win the football game. You had the botched extra point in the beginning. You then end up having 2 interceptions by Matthew Stafford. And things started to look like, all right, this is like the Bengals' path to victory, which exactly what it was during the regular season and also the postseason. But I don't necessarily know that the offense ever really truly got on track. And, when you take 7 sacks, like I said against the Titans, 3 interceptions, overtakes 9 sacks.
Yep.
They only had 2 interceptions in this game, and 1 led to that the field goal in the second half. And if they would have scored a touchdown there, maybe a little bit different. But after those first 2 series in the second half, the Rams defense was unbelievable. And the interesting thing about that is that Eric Weddle, their safety that they signed about a month and a half ago, he had a torn pectoral muscle that he hurt in the first quarter.
Yeah.
And he stayed on the field and played with it. And you could tell that he did not want to make any tackles. And the Bengals never exploited that particular situation. And I'm not sure how aware they were of how injured Eric Weddle was. But, that's one of those things that also happens. And then, of course, look, how do you stop Cooper Kupp? That was the other thing going into this game that was going to be the number one priority for Lou Anarumo in that defense. And unfortunately, Eli Apple really struggled in this game. And I'm not saying that, anybody could just cover him. He's just virtually uncoverable. And then, the only thing that I wasn't really happy about was all of a sudden, we as NFL fans, and we've been watching this now for the last 10 years or so.
Yeah.
At the end of the games, when you're down in a tight red zone and the ball's getting thrown, what are we all waiting for?
Flags. Yeah.
Right, and all of a sudden the flags started showing up late in the game. Now, I'm not going to sit here and complain about the flags. Maybe one flag, the pass interference on Wilson over the middle, I would question that one.
I think they call that one. They called that one defensive holding, and to me, that was an absolutely perfect way to play that situation. And then there was 2 really bad missed calls that resulted in big chances or points for the other team. That was one of them. And the other, the Bengals benefited from with the T. Higgins face mask on Jalen Ramsey.
Well, so the other one they didn't like, I was going to say, was the one that was offsetting penalties. Mm-hmm. You had a holding on the Rams, and then you also had unsportsmanlike conduct by Von Bell as he's trying to knock Cooper Kupp out of the end zone. I believe that Cooper Kupp was in the air catching the ball. And the idea for the defensive back is to try to knock him out of the end zone so at least he comes down with it. So those are a couple ticky-tack things. But at the end of the day, the Bengals had every opportunity to win the game on their second to last series. Not their last series, because the last series was going to be really difficult. Aaron Donald was revved up the way he was.
Oh, my God. Yeah, they pointed out in the broadcast that he sprinted out there. He was the first one out there off the sideline, and he knew that this was his opportunity to go and win a championship. And he's a one-man wrecking crew. And who knows how badly Joe Burrow's injury towards the end of the game affected him on those last couple of drives.
Well, by the way, both he and Matthew Stafford, it's not fun playing with a twisted ankle or a twisted knee.
Yeah.
I mean, you could do it as a quarterback, and we saw Phillip Rivers do it against the Patriots. Remember the year that he and LaDainian Tomlinson both blew their knee out. And Phillip Rivers played in the game, and LaDainian didn't.
Yeah, he was sitting on the bench with the hood up, and he was getting criticized for that. Yeah,
but he can't play with an ACL or an MCL or whatever.
Which Odell might have had.
I think he's got an ACL. The way that looked like another ACL. Could have been the same one that he had previously hurt against the Bengals when he was with the Browns, which was really unfortunate because that's another thing that went in the Bengals' favor.
Yep.
So you had Odell Beckham Jr. out of the game. You had Eric Weddle with the torn pectoral muscle. And you had 2 turnovers and you had a botched extra point. So you had 5 different things that happened in this game that squarely were in the Bengals' favor, and they still couldn't win the game. And that's why they ended the game with 4 straight punts and on downs, that last series on downs on fourth down. And again, you could sit here and we could look at the plays that they ran on that last series to get that first down because, hey, look, Jamar Chase takes off with the ball. It was a great ball that was high and away. He snatches it, goes down the sideline. You're like, oh, man, we're going into overtime.
Yeah, and also, why hand the ball off on the 3rd down before the 4th down where Aaron Donald got his hands all over Joe Burrow and he had to throw it away? You're handing the ball there to Samaje Perine. I understand he's your 3rd down back, and then maybe if you're thinking Joe Mixon's there on 3rd down, he's definitely getting the ball. I know there's something there, but I don't know. I'm just a big believer in if you're going to run the ball on 3rd and 1 in that spot, you give it
the best guy out there.
Yes, I hated that. No disrespect to Samaje Perine, but Joe Mixon's a better player. Like, give him the ball. Figure out a way to get the ball in his hands. And then 4th down ended up being 4th down, and that was that. But you're right. I mean, there was so much stuff that was going the Bengals' way. The Beckham injury was the first thing. The non-call on T. Higgins. The interceptions from Matthew Stafford. I mean, it was just all right there for them to capitalize on it, and they just could not put their foot down in the 4th quarter. And that drive that the Rams had is going to be legendary Super Bowl stuff now.
Yeah, well, it's 15 plays, 72 yards. And it was, it's a thing of legend. Like I was a Bengal quarterback and watched another quarterback do that.
Yeah.
And it's no fun. It's miserable. I mean, you just feel awful. I mean, I felt like I lost the game last night again.
Yeah,
really? And it's such a downer. But then on the other side of it, I'm kind of happy for Matthew Stafford simply because he finally won his Super Bowl. But as you pointed out last week, he's going to throw interceptions.
Yep.
And he did throw interceptions.
2 of them. And
almost had a couple others where he threw behind a couple guys. And, in trying to look at Joe Burrow's performance, I thought it was a really good – I thought it was a B performance. That wasn't his A-type performance. Mm-hmm. He made a couple of really good throws to Jamar Chase, obviously, who makes an unbelievable catch over Jalen Ramsey.
Oh, my God.
And he was trying to get the ball out quick. He did have Jamar Chase on the right sideline in the 3rd quarter. He would have had a first down, but he kind of short-armed it and hopped it into him. And Jamar was wide open, so that would have been a first down there too. But, man, when he needed the money throw, he made it to Tyler Boyd. He made it. And unfortunately, Tyler didn't hold on to the ball. And he has been so short-handed and such a big part of that offense. And I'm sure they'll go back and they'll look at this and they'll see where they, could have won the game and where they should have probably won the game. But really, I mean, at the end of the day, like I was just, man, that second to last series is when they needed to win it.
Yep. And I feel terrible for the Bengals fan. I feel like I root for a team that's got similar experiences where you're right there, and you don't get over the hump, and it's just the worst because you don't know, when you're going to be back there again. You got like Carson Palmer talking about how he was doing Radio Row interviews. He's like, oh, man, they better step up and keep people around Joe Burrow or he's going to want to leave in free agency. I mean, just like this, the mentality of the Cincinnati Bengal fan being like, I don't know how long this is going to last. Like, how are we allowed to have nice things? And you're right there knocking on the doorstep of a Super Bowl championship, and you just want to get it done just once in your lifetime. I mean, there's some franchises where you just say, just give me the one championship, and I will be happy for the rest of my life. Please. We've never had it. Just one freaking time. I don't need 4. I don't need 5. I don't need back-to-back. I just need one during my lifetime, and I'm sure that a majority of the Bengals fans were thinking that last night, and it got ripped away from them.
I also think that one of the reasons why Carson Palmer was doing that, and he was getting roasted by Bengal fans.
Yeah.
I understand exactly what Carson was talking about, because when we came out of the strike, there was a thing that was called Plan B free agency.
Yeah.
And the Bengals didn't participate in it. We lost guys. We never replaced guys. And it really was the beginning of the initial early 90s downfall of the franchise. But I can't sit here and say that, Carson's all that accurate, because now, as you saw, there were 7 defensive starters that were all free agent pickups, and they paid big money for those guys.
Yeah.
The good news for the Bengals is that they have the third most amount of money under the upcoming salary cap to go out and fix some of the problems they have. And I think we all understand where they're probably going to start.
The offensive line.
That's right. And, look, they'll spend the money. I mean, and Mike Brown is getting up there in age. I know they'd like to get him a Super Bowl, but the problem is the AFC is loaded with great quarterbacks, from Josh Allen to Patrick Mahomes. McDaniel's out there in out there in Las Vegas now. You also have Justin Herbert. You have Lamar Jackson. You of course have your own quarterback. I mean, you got a new coach down in Miami now. I mean, there's Mac Jones and Bill Belichick up in New England. So this is going to be a gauntlet and on top of all that, 17 games.
Yeah,
it's going to be a gauntlet getting back to the Super Bowl for any of these teams to do it back-to-back years. As Patrick Mahomes found out just how difficult it can be.
Yeah, let's hope that Joe Burrow and his knee is nothing, and you don't have to worry about that, because he was screaming in pain while laying on the turf, and then was basically shooing away all the trainers, and he went out there and continued to play. I mean, that could be one of those things where you find out that he's got to have surgery on his other leg coming up. Not to be negative about it, but that would definitely felt like that was a thing, that he was hurt and he was playing through what could have been a significant situation. But, yeah, I mean, it's so hard to get there. It's even harder to win it. And then when you've got that lead and you come out on fire like they did with the 10 points right out of half, and they're winning the game, you're thinking, this is it. I mean, this is going to happen.
What is Matthew Stafford known for? Matthew Stafford is known for fourth-quarter comebacks. He is, whether you like him or not. I know you. No, I mean,
to me, you ask me what Matt Stafford's known for. It's racking up a ton of yardage when his team was down.
But he also has, I think he's like he's right there at the top when it comes to fourth-quarter comebacks. And it's usually when he plays his best is when the game is open up and everybody's loose and it's 2-minute drill. And let's face it, the defensive pressure for the Bengals was not there. It was not evident at all in the fourth quarter.
Yeah. Now, there was a couple of different things, too, I thought were very interesting with guys that I did not think were going to be hanging it up anytime soon with the Rams. But there was chatter in the pregame that Aaron Donald and the postgame that Aaron Donald may retire after this. He's only been in the league since 2014. And then that Sean McVay at some point may decide to hang it up early because he wants to spend more time with family. I thought that those
family,
two things.
I mean, he's getting married.
Well, that's what he said. Starting a family and the family thing, and dedicating time to that was important to him.
You got to remember, these guys also have made so much money already up to this point that I always say it's one or two things. It's either guys are going to play for a short period of time, make a lot of money, and then leave because they've made a lot of money, or you're going to have guys that are going to stay longer because they're being offered a lot of money to stay, especially quarterbacks.
Yeah, I mean, we saw it with Andrew Luck. Andrew Luck's like, I don't want too many injuries. I don't want to rehab anymore. I've made a lot of money. Goodbye. That was the first one, really. Maybe we'll see. We'll keep an eye on those two things. That would be fascinating to me. I mean, both those guys 10 years ago, I mean, maybe even 5 years ago, you'd never think that would be a thing. They would be retiring this early. I mean, we've never seen this, really. Like, maybe John Madden as a coach.
Because he didn't want to fly. He didn't want to travel.
Right.
That was his reason.
But I mean, I mean, you see guys, Barry Sanders, running
Calvin
backs.
Johnson.
Yeah, Robert Smith. I mean, you see it occasionally. But those would be two very shocking things. So some interesting storylines coming out of the Rams situation as well after they win Super Bowl 56. We'll get Jerry Recco in here in just a couple of minutes to detail everything that happened out in L.A. He'll have all the post-game sound, all that good stuff. I couldn't sit there and watch Stan Kroenke get the Lombardi trophy. I shut it off. I mean, that guy just seems like such a ski-vots. I didn't need any.
Did you stay for the bobsledding, the monobob?
No, I didn't stay for that either. No,
I
was
a lot of
out.
people got ticked off that, NBC cut away to all that. You don't realize, like, people have no idea how much money NBC has spent on both the NFL and the Olympics. And they're using the NFL and the Super Bowl in a great game to promote the Olympics so people stay with it and watch something that they had never seen before. It happened to us in after that game between Kansas City and Buffalo.
Yeah.
Like we had like a 3-minute post-game show, and then we had to get to NCIS Hawaii. Aloha.
That's right.
But that's the way primetime, real-time television works. And you try to balance the costs versus the benefits. And, it's unfortunate that NBC didn't get a chance to do it more. But if you really wanted to watch more post-game, you just go to the NFL Network or ESPN.
Yep, and they were doing everything. They had the whole spiel going. All right, got some weather for you right now. It's brought to you by Caesars Sportsbook. Wager exactly 20 for your first bet, and you'll get 300 in free bets. Win or lose, download it and earn more with Caesars Rewards. Terms and conditions apply. Must be 21 and over. Partly sunny today with a high of 29. It's 19 degrees right now in the city.